hope you all enjoyed that reading. And for me, I need to ask you all, who packs your parachute? So if we look at it, it could be yourselves, it could be family and friends, or it could be those who guide us. So there's all those possibilities, isn't there? And I hope that you take today which one fits with you all. For me also, it's realizing that it is me. It is my soul that packs my parachute. But also, it's that lovely recognition that we do have a spirit team who walk beside us. And when we're ready, as we all know, they're there to take up that challenge, to walk and help us develop. And it's very important, isn't it, that he mentioned that he felt bad on reflection because of his status, that he hadn't acknowledged the sailor. And that's what I love about us being here today, that what we believe and our faith encompasses everybody, regardless of our status in life. To the spirit world and to each other, we're just as important as each other. And that's been shown today, hasn't it? From the greetings that you've all had when you came in to the sanctuary this morning. I saw on the screen, there was emotion, there was hugs and kisses. And isn't that lovely that we're seeing people for who we really are? We're all spirit. We're all spirit children. And regardless of our age, isn't it lovely that we still feel that childlikeness within? We can still have fun. And here today, we have that lovely front row with Love, who every week when I join are chatting and they get told off. But isn't it lovely that you can be yourselves and that you've found somewhere that allows that laughter, because that builds the energy and creates the atmosphere for the day. So as we reflect on life, I want to talk about today just taking it back to simplicity and how sometimes we take each other for granted. Let's say that we go into a restaurant and the table isn't laid, or the cutlery comes out dirty, or that most important thing, we go to spend a penny and we go, we're not going back in there. Now we take that for granted, that that's someone's job, isn't it? And when it doesn't happen, boy, don't we moan. So we're going back today to show that everybody is important. And look at what happens when we go into that restaurant and that table isn't laid or the cutlery isn't clean. We perhaps won't go back there. But sometimes we don't realize, do we, what's gone on to create that special soul whose job it is to deliver. Perhaps is having a bad day, they're off sick, there's some emotion. And it shows, doesn't it, when we leave it to others, they may say, that's not my job. Or may they not realize the love and the quality that goes into our expectations. So let us all remember today not to take this for granted. It shows that we all have a place. And for some of us, yes, we could progress and we could move on from laying the tables and doing the dishes. But for some of us, we don't want that. We're happy as we are. And isn't that special that we have a choice? We have that free will in life. And it's where we sit comfortably. That person could be promoted and go on to managing or cooking. But most probably, that wouldn't be right. They would be too stressed. Their world would explode. And how many of us have had that explosion where we've gone into something because people tell us we'd be good at it. You'd be a good leader. And sometimes with love, perhaps the ego takes over, and we end up dreading going in. And some of us, we then step back and we feel whole again. So here today, we've come in all our different careers and retirees. And isn't that lovely? That doesn't matter for this hour and a half. It's about being with like-minded people, all having that openness. And then, of course, that openness today is having that faith and belief that there is a spirit world and that we are looked after. And I want to talk about that today also, about someone could be searching and they come into a church or a sanctuary and they have a communicator who they don't want to hear from. Now that's quite hard, isn't it? That they've come in, but you know, and I hope you've all experienced it, that communicator comes in because we work on that love level. They come in with respect, and they don't come in and they don't tell the congregation their business, but they're evolving. And perhaps on the earth, they just couldn't get on. And just for an example, my granddad and I didn't get on most of our lives. And we blended together when my nan passed and he got old. And there was the new relationship between us. And when I least expect it, he's then verified that he is in the services stood behind me. So one day I was talking with family and said to my parents, "Why Grandad?" And my mum, who's not a believer, said, "Because he has the most to be sorry for." And that was really lovely to hear, someone who doesn't believe saying that's his penance, she was saying with love. And yet here he is. So it shows they do evolve. And perhaps when they pass, they do start, and we know we have to answer for our wrongs and what we've said. And isn't it beautiful that they do come and try? A few weeks ago in my local church, I went to a lady, and as I started, you could see the dread on her face as I brought through her father. And I kept going, and he was polite, but he talked about his life, and you could see she really didn't want to be with us. And you know, at the end of the message, I said, he says he's leaving his love, but you won't accept it. And she burst out in tears. Now, I'm only telling you this today because that was pure proof for her that he was leaving his love, but he said she won't accept it from me. And boy, he was right. But after that, there was like a thawing from her. And the message he left was uplifting to her. He didn't come with apology, but he come with words that her soul needed for the earth plane journey. So I'm just sharing that today to show you the intelligence of our loved ones, and that they, even when we pass, have to work within universal law. And that's quite powerful, isn't it? So that's beautiful that happened. It's not nice for the medium, but it's lovely that you trust and everything's going to be okay. And for many of you, and I apologize in advance, but I'm experiencing, as my community gets older, they seem to be losing their filter. And it seems that they can say anything and it doesn't matter. And that's why apologies to you all, but this is what I'm experiencing. And it's almost as though for me, with a personal relationship, I put my love around me and I go in and I don't ask questions that could enable the filter to be put into action. But you know, even now, my mum will still get me where I just go in as Sven and forget that perhaps I have to be on my guard, as she's one to always tell me with love how she sees my world. And, you know, when I go in, it's sometimes she catches me unaware. And it's almost as though she's back into who she was, because it shows we never can change, can we? But we can improve. And at the ripe old age of 50, my soul's been doing a lot of reflection. And perhaps that's early. But it also gives me that moment of cringeworthiness where it takes me back to a situation that I haven't dealt with maybe the best. I've let my filter run away. And it reminds me of situations where I perhaps have spoken out of turn. And I don't want this at my age, but my soul's evolving. And it shows me, and I hope it shows you all, how far we've come on our journey. For those of you who experience these reflections from our life, isn't it nice to actually stand there and say, my goodness, we've come a long way. Look at how we were before we found this beautiful faith. Look how now, because we're sensitive, we know how we would like to be treated and how we like to treat people. And it's almost as though we don't need, do we, these filters, because we're all on the same page, that level of understanding, because we all have one thing in common. We have the love and the knowledge of this world that is sometimes unimaginable in its beauty. And we have the lovely communication come. And sometimes that can throw us when it comes when we least expect it. It can be someone who we least expect, and it can be powerful. They can come and they can just give us that message that touches our soul. And today we're all here to be touched, not only by my words, but by the love of the spirit world. And for those of us today who don't receive communication, it's about being one, isn't it? It's being together. And for this short time, allowing ourselves to feel uplifted in a way that we can't perhaps when we're on our own. So remember, as we go about our daily lives, and we all do anyway, but it's about remembering everybody has that mask. Everybody perhaps behaves that certain way for a reason. And it's remembering that we can just be there to listen and to smile. And that's most important, isn't it? That we just smile and listen. And sometimes, I said it before, sometimes a hug is all we need. That hug, that physical hug, or that spiritual hug, knowing that everything's okay. So as we go back to Plum, it's lovely that he acknowledged and went on to lecture to people about seeing the world, taking the rose-tinted glasses off and seeing people with themselves, the upliftment that they bring, the laughter, perhaps the grumpiness that some people go around with. But we know that grumpiness is delivered sometimes with love and humour. And we also send that healing out today that we've all experienced to those who haven't got what we've got. and let them feel that healing light penetrate their hearts. They may not know where it's coming from, but deep down, their soul does. So as we go on today and the coming weeks, don't forget to look at what the beauty Mother Earth offers us. And I'll never forget the time that I came over and I went to the Smoky Mountains and I witnessed your fall, and it blew me away. I must have been blinkered in England not to notice that we actually have a fall. And perhaps because your place was so magnificent with the different coloured trees. And for me, that was a little bit of insight into the spirit world. It was another world for me to picture. And it was beautiful to be with Mother Nature. And sometimes be a little bit scared at night as I heard the bears rummaging through the bins outside the lodge that we were at. And to witness the bears in Gatlinburg literally walking across the road, and a mama bear and her babies, that was beautiful. And they said it must have been the British luck that day that we actually had to stop for an elk to cross the road. And this is all that we don't get where we are. We can see it in a zoo, but this was live. And I'll just leave you with my memory today of me being confident and a bear coming too close, so I had to close the window because I was unsure what would happen next. So as you see, that uplifted me. That was a new situation, but it's in my memory bank that I'll never forget. It was beautiful. And we're on their territory, aren't we? They were there long before we were. So that's how I want that to be remembered today, that enlightened me, that we can converse with nature and have respect. So today, take reflection of your parachute and how far you've come in your life so far, and how far you can go, floating along in the air and floating with others. Thank you.